Hello everyone, Lance Mikkel from Refocus on Happiness. Steve Martin has a great phrase. He says, be so good at what you do that people cannot ignore you. I'm going to show you a world that I'm going to make it so obvious what I represent for you. I believe the only reason you would not want to move forward is if you're quite frankly just a glutton for punishment. At the end of the day, let's just be very clear with each other. You want to feel fantastic. When you feel great, you speak great. When you feel great, you make different decisions. And when you feel great, you don't say or do things you shouldn't be saying or doing. It does not matter what you know. It only matters what you can do. And if you cannot control your emotional states and how you feel, you effectively know zero. When you feel like crap, how are you going to stop yourself from saying things and doing things you shouldn't be saying or doing? That doesn't even make sense. So if you are sick and tired of all the concepts you know and the great ideas, but you can't control those emotions, you're tired of not being able to execute, if you're tired of not feeling great, well then I'll show you a world that you wish you got introduced to many years ago. Even the first week, you'll have an experience that is indisputable. And here's the good news for you. At the end of the day, what I teach people, it's not a concept, it's a conditioning. You might talk about your mindsets and all these different things you're trying to do, but if you can't control the way you feel, conditioning actually makes that mindset possible. You can't speak how you don't feel. You can't make decisions align with when you feel like crap. This is what addresses it at the core, the biological core. And what's cool is what you're going to see in this video here is a lot of people you go to for your healing, your classic doctors and therapists and counselors, they come to me, they do my program. But again, I'll make this very obvious for you. So if you decide after you watch this video that what I put in front of you is pretty freaking obvious, happy to have a conversation. And in that case, look forward to speaking to you soon.
You know, a lot of times you've talked about how somebody has to feel something so painful that forces them to make a change.
Right.
And that was me. I was there, and I didn't know what I was going to do with how bad I felt. You're right. I do help other people. I am very professional. I think I'm a good mom. I have a great relationship with my daughters, but there was just some events that happened that were just bringing me to a place where I was in a really dark place. I was in a really, really dark place. And it's almost frightening to look back and realize that I was in as dark a place as I was, because there were some events that precipitated that. And I was in a dark place. And it's interesting because you talk about this random guy on Facebook. Well, I had never even seen you on Facebook. It had never happened. I was just doing searches on the internet looking. I was like, there's got to be a different way. There's got to be something different. There's just there's got to be something. And then you popped up. And so I started searching and not reading, but listening to your videos. And that's when, I was like, it was kind of like, I have to do something. And so then we did talk. And it's not so much that I wasn't all in, it's just given all of the things that had happened, I didn't know if I could make it happen as quickly as like your program, it goes very quick, but I didn't know if I had the finances and the things to do that. So, you were super awesome. You were willing to work with me. You were very flexible. But after the first couple of days, I was like, oh, I just have to do this. Or the first week or so, I'm like, I have to find a way to make this happen quickly because I'm already feeling better. And so I did, and for anybody who's going to be watching this, I picked up extra shifts at work. I cut back on things. I was just like, this is working. I have to go all in. And I did. It was enlightening. It was interesting to see how, I think within those first few weeks, I really realized how much I was potentially causing my own pain and causing some of my own, I didn't cause myself the pain, but I was perpetuating it. And that in those first few weeks when I started realizing, wow, this isn't going to work for, I can't feel like this forever. And I now have the tools to change it. It was enlightening. And that's why I think in the beginning, I was going to do it over a longer period of time.
Yep.
And that was the first change I made. Like I said, you've been super, super flexible with me. So that was the first change I made. And I'm like, no, I gotta go faster. And then that's when I was doing the self-study part of it. And I was moving along. Okay. I didn't mind, I was doing pretty well. Until then I had some more challenges. And that's when you kind of stepped in and you really let me kind of revamp what we had already set up. And got me moving again. And I think I think anybody who would watch this when they first talk to you and you kind of explain all the programs, how it works out, just really keeping in mind how flexible you are when somebody's willing to do the work, yeah, you were really amazing.
Thank you. Yeah. And you did your part, you never complained. You always did the work. I told you from the beginning, it's hard. It's a workout. And like I tell everyone it starts, I'm like, make no mistake, this is a workout. It's a real process. You are going to have to do, grind it out a little bit. But and when people hear the pricing, they think it's expensive, but they don't realize how much extra work I might have to potentially do. And it's all part of it. You want a certain outcome. But I take a lot of pride in that. I will see it through at the end. When all's said and done, we will have our hands up in the air in victory, and I think it's actually good I like to manage people's expectations. And I think this is all, again, good for you to just kind of elaborate maybe a little bit here, but it was not easy. You and I had a blip or two along the way. We had some conversations where we had to work a little harder to get past some hurdles, if you want to call it that, right? Not easy, correct?
Yeah. So can I just correct you a little?
Yeah. Whatever you think the words are appropriate.
And this is just for us, like the hurdles were my hurdles. You know what I mean? I don't want it to seem like it was a hurdle between you and I.
Sure.
Those were my life hurdles. Like
fair
I
enough.
always found you super, super open, super willing to help. I took your information and I'm like, hey, this has got to work because what I'm doing is not working. So I'm going to go for it. So, the hurdles were mine. I don't want it to come across like the hurdles were you.
That's a good distinction.
You know what I mean? It's like,
yeah. Okay. That's a good, thank you for adding that. I didn't realize that it was coming across like that, but what I meant hurdles, I mean, like, I understand when people start a program like this, they've never done it before. And I understand it's going to take a little extra something sometimes to get that rocket ship off the ground. And I'm happy to do it. As long, like you were always great. You always did the work. You never complained. You understood, like I was, I think we had a good starting point where, I manage expectations. So you never complained. So I was telling people I'm willing to work through it because I understand it's a different muscle. You've never worked out before, so to speak. So I'm willing to do what it takes to get there. All I ask people is like, don't make me repeat myself. If we agree on doing something, then do it. But you always did that. So what I meant is I understand that it comes to the territory sometimes when we're doing a different type of workout and process that's never been done before. I have to perhaps sometimes add a little extra to just make sure we get past that hump together with, understanding we're building that muscle. So, but thank you for that distinction. That's very important. I don't want people to think that you had to hurdle me like I was a pain in the ass and I was hard to work with.
Right. No, because you weren't, so not at all.
Good. And then we accelerated the track together. So then now that's where I felt you made some really, I mean, like I told you, that's where I felt like we really made some massive headway, you and I. So once we kind of start working a little closer together, which I call the premium version of the program, then how was your experience on that? Doing the Q&As, like doing all the live stuff. How would you describe that experience to people as far as your progress, how you felt about it, just whatever you want to say?
I feel like once I went into the premium version and there was that quicker repetition, it was able to happen faster, just like you had said. I get not everybody can do the premium version, but I do feel like once I did get to that place, things happened a lot faster. You adjusted the program for me, and I feel like because of that, I've had so much more success. Like I'm there now. I'm there.
Good.
Good.
And you're like I told you from the very beginning, you're never going to go backwards ever. I swear. I appeal thing again. it's funny. Like I'll speak to someone in the very beginning, and they'll speak to them, like at your point here. And like some people think I'm kind of crazy or I whatever. The first time we speak, I'm like, you're gonna find out I'm not quite as crazy as you think I am. And I had a really funny guy that he graduated, and I never thought this guy was ever gonna do this program. Like I spent like 10 minutes with him maximum the first time I spoke, because I just thought he was in La La Land, but he did it. I couldn't believe it. And he did incredible. He's doing amazing. But the funny thing is, when I did the graduate call with him, he said the first time him and I spoke, he thought I must be full of shit. He's like, there's no, yeah. Like I'm like, okay, you can believe that if you want to, but that's why it's so important to, but we had a good laugh together. But I
think one of our first phone calls too, and you're like, okay, well, I was giving you my credit card number, and I'm like, okay, well, do you have a contract or something I'm supposed to sign? I'm just giving you my credit card number randomly, and you're like, oh yeah, I got one of those.
Yeah, well, I did. You got it once you start.
Why not? I mean, really?
This is run like a business, which it is ultimately. But yeah, so but yeah, I the best part, Annie, I can tell you, and if it makes me feel so great to be able to do this, I had the best job on earth as far as I'm concerned. You'll never, ever, ever go back to that in years. It does take a little momentum to really finally break through, where it's like, dude, this is it. So yeah, I love what you said there. I'm there now. What a great place to be, right?
Yeah.
How do you feel about your future? How do you feel about your future now with what you got?
I'm confident in my future, no matter what it is, whatever comes my way. Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah, it's the best, simplest words ever, right? I'm good. What else do you have to really say? I'm good. I'm gonna be fine. I'm good.
Yeah.
People, it's like, life is actually very simple. At the end of the day, we all want and we all deserve the ability to know every day. By the end of the day, we can always say, it's maybe a tough day, but a good day. That's what we all have to right to that, and you have that from that's yours from now on.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I'm good.
Yeah, Annie, this is.
I think the biggest surprise out of this program has been my ability to sleep.
Wow.
Okay. I could never sleep. I would tell you, I was a horrible sleeper. That was probably the biggest change that I saw going into this, was being able to sleep.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it really was. That was amazing. And I can't remember how many weeks in that I started noticing that. But absolutely the unintended success, I was not expecting to get out of this, but to actually be able to sleep is awesome.
Yeah, and you know why that is, and I'll just spill out for anyone listening here. But it's very simple. I'm not Annie. You knew this from the very beginning when we started here. I'm not a quote unquote doctor. I'm not a licensed health practitioner, but I have those people do this program, and there's a reason for that. And no doctor would ever dispute this here. Disease. Look at the words, dis-ease. It's a body not at ease. Disease is the biggest activator for all fucking problems. That's what creates all the health issues people have. So if you, like you did, if someone previously to doing a program like this was like living in stress, the hormones of stress, 70% a day, well, what are they doing? They're literally walking around the whole day like a coiled fucking spring like this. And the problem is this: when they want to go to sleep later, they're trying to go from this to that, but it doesn't work like that. Oh, yeah. Body needs time to kind of uncoil. But what you're doing with the practice in a very real way is literally unstressing you. So all of a sudden, instead of walking around like this the whole day, you're like this. And now it makes sleep that much easier, because sleep is actually sleep is a natural process. You don't have to force your body to sleep. Your body will do it automatically if you give it the right environment. So now you're not so stressed anymore, and you're actually feeling pretty good most of the day. Well, guess what? In a very real practical way, you're making it easier for your body to do its job. Not to mention, because you're not nearly as stressed as you were, I have a lot of people that have different health symptoms that disappear. But there's a very obvious answer for that. When you're not also using that main activator of stress and you're getting rid of it and you're shifting, well, that's obviously going to have massive, massive health benefits across the board.
Right. And I do feel like I used to live as a coil, that I was coiled up and extremely stressed out, very tense, lots of anxiety. And I don't feel those things anymore.
Wonderful, wonderful. And this has been fantastic. So maybe one last question. Anything else that you think would be relevant to anyone going through like a challenge similar to yours? Anything else you think would be maybe important for them to know? I think this has been awesome. But anything else you think that might be relevant for anybody going through a similar situation that might be worth sharing?
Stay the motherfucking course.
Good, perfect. No wiser words were ever said. Wonderful. Yeah, beautiful.
No, just it is hard, but stick with it. It does get better. I never dreamt that I would be grateful for my catalyst, but I'm getting there. I am actually like,
good.
I'm actually like, wow, I'm so, I mean, I can't believe I'm going to say it, but I'm kind of glad he's gone.
Good. Yes.
I didn't think I'd get there. I really didn't. And it's funny because you do continue to grow as even after the practice. And I did kind of have one of those, you said, when you get the lesson, the charge disappears. And I got another lesson a couple weeks ago, and wow, it just kind of changed everything. So yeah. So somebody else looking to do this program, stick with it, because as crazy as it seems, it works. And when you're in it, you might not see it, but like I was saying, now I can look back to where I was. I was in a really bad place. And I like to pride myself of being strong and competent, and looking back, that I was in a bad place. It was pretty dire, I think, now that I look back, and I couldn't have seen it while I was going through the program. I mean, I knew it was bad, but I didn't know it was that bad. But now seeing where I am and looking back at where I was, that is huge. And so that makes me realize how far down I was.
Awesome. Yeah, I'll close on this note then. I tell people, I speak to a lot of people that they're doing, like I just spoke to someone a few minutes ago, working with like a mindset coach. I'm like, you have no idea how great you're actually supposed to feel. Great, you're getting a couple good tips. It's like when people do something like this, they realize like, oh my God, I had a muscle I never knew they had before. And it's all of a sudden like right in the case here, a few months later, like, oh my God, like I really was not living anywhere what I could be. And now you really experience it. But it's very hard to tell people until they actually start, and assuming they endure like you did. But most people have no idea how great they're actually supposed to feel. They settle for like,
I think you were asking me about when I first started, what I was kind of going through. I think in those first few days and even that first week, it really dawned on me that I had never learned how to be happy, just happy, for the sake of being happy. I had never learned how. Nobody ever taught me. Looking back at my life growing up, it was tough. It was tough. And there wasn't a lot of joy and fun and security and all those. And so I never really got to learn that. And here I am, middle age or more, and I'm actually learning how to be happy. And I almost feel like I get to be that kid again, because now I'm happy. And it's not because I have a new toy or anything. I'm just happy.
That's wonderful.
It's awesome.
That's wonderful. That's how we're meant to live.
So I remember when we were having the conversations about the cost and the breakdown of, the different programs, and the just the whole contract and the finances and all of that. And I remember thinking to myself, yes, I mean, you're expensive, but I thought back to a few things that I've invested in my life that have really helped me by going to a pro, you know what I mean? And, and because of those, I was like, I got to go to somebody who knows what they're doing. So that kind of helped me. And the thing that I drew on was that when my oldest daughter was a junior in high school, and I had no idea how I was going to help her get into college or what I was going to do with that. I hired a college planning company that was all encompassing. I had to work a lot. I had to pay for it. It was very expensive. It was the best money I'd ever spent. By far the best money I'd ever spent until you.
Thanks, Anne. That's very sweet of you. Thank you so much.
But my point being that what?
I'm glad I recorded that.
But my point being that sometimes you have to spend the money to get the best, like to get where you need to be. So yeah, that college planning company was just, it was expensive, but I'm like, I did it for my other daughter too. Best money I ever spent. Went to the professionals. They handled everything. So then you came along and I'm like, Annie, you got to spend the money, you know.
Wonderful.
And best money I ever spent. So.